fight songs through the air, the roar of the crowd, and teams fighting for school pride. Hey everybody, it's Jeff, and this is the video review for NCAA Football 08. Last year's college football game probably should have been redshirted a little bit. It wasn't as deep, didn't have as many modes or any features that you really wanted to see in a college football game, and so you kind of really felt that you were missing something. This year, however, NCAA 08 is a lot stronger, a lot deeper, and has a lot of those gameplay elements that you're looking for. That is, if you own the 360 version. Its debut on the PS3, however, leaves a lot to be desired, particularly because it's so much slower thanks to a reduced frame rate. So one of the biggest features that happens to be present in NCAA Football 08 is the motivation or lead by example idea. Essentially, it's one of those situations where anybody on the field can take over a game at any point in time, making a big play and motivating everybody around them. It's a good concept, but on the 360 and PS3 versions, it feels a little bit hokey, whereas the PS2 and Xbox versions, you actually feel and see a noticeable stat increase, and you get it as a measurable situation. In the 360 and PS3 version, you get a hokey circle that emanates from that star player on that big play, and you don't really get an idea of what that measurable stat boost might be, or how much he's influenced somebody. Now, while momentum was a little bit of a letdown, some of the other changes that were made in 08 are very, very key. For instance, last year's game, you couldn't break out of animation, so sometimes you'd find yourself going out of bounds where you really didn't mean to. In this year's game, you can actually break through animation, so you can make those shoestring grabs, those tiptoe catches along the sideline, do a quick stutter step, and break up the field without feeling like you're going to automatically carry yourself out of bounds. 08 also features an improved hit stick, so you can try and take somebody's legs out, especially if you happen to have a smaller defensive back, or even try and, just truck somebody. However, because there's a larger focus on taking someone's legs out, hurdling those players is really, really key. And you'll find that a lot of really good athletes, especially wide receivers, will just leap over people if you constantly rely on that low hit stick feature. Another major adjustment comes in the Dynasty Mode feature. This time around, you really are in control of your program. For instance, one of the major parts about Dynasty Mode this year around is recruiting and building up your program. The recruiting system revolves around pitches. There are 14 different items that you can pitch to a student, such as the academic strength of your program and your school, the location to their hometown, or whether or not you turn out a lot of players to the pros. Based on where they happen to be and how important they think that pitch is, you get an insight into that person's personality. So you can tailor-make your pitch to that student based on what they like and don't like. If you feel strongly enough about a recruit, you can even make him a promise, such as a player number or how much playing time he'll get in the upcoming year. However, you're forced to keep that promise, because if you don't, your integrity and your program's integrity will suffer as a result of not following up on your promise. Campus Legend Mode finally makes its debut in next-gen NCAA football game, and it's one of those things that's really, really intriguing. It takes your created player and allows him to play through his high school senior year state championship finals. Based on how well you do in the playoffs, you get recruited by different schools, and your placement on that school's depth chart is based on your caliber rating. However, one of the biggest problems with Campus Legend is it's really easy to move up the depth chart. If you're a third-string starter, you can easily take over for first string within a couple of weeks if you're pretty good at practice, and you never really have to go back to practice ever again. That being said, however, it's great to actually see Campus Legend included in this version of the game, especially because it was so much fun on the older consoles. Unfortunately for the debut on the PS3, the game is not even up to par when it compares to the 360. The frame rate is locked at a solid 30 compared to the 360's 60 frames a second. And you really feel that, especially if you've been playing another sports game that's been rolling at a solid 60 frames a second. You feel like you have to over-anticipate certain moves. Offensively, the game feels really sluggish, and it doesn't really feel as though it deserves to be on Sony's PS3. It almost feels like you're playing a game on the PS2. This is one of those titles that should have been left back in development for at least 1 or 2 more months so that the bugs and the kinks could have been straightened out and ran at a solid 60 frames a second. Overall, though, NCAA 08 really improves upon last year's formula. It still has a couple bugs and a couple kinks to work out, but if it's on the 360, you really are finding that experience that you were hoping for in the college game. Any other questions, take a look at the review on the site.